Oh, shoot.
Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, hi. Hi, guys. It's your Blue Line group with your BlueLine Wives Roll Call podcast. I'm Shannon Gilbert with EMAR Real Estate.
I'm Jamie Wright with Wright Dalbo Insurance.
And Amy's on vacation.
Amy is on vacation. So, honey, if you're tuning in, we hope you're having a good time.
Right. And for those who...
For those of you that don't know who we are, we are a dedicated team of law enforcement families specializing in real estate, financial, and insurance services, fervent about creating ongoing professional relationships and giving back to our first responder families. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. We have a special guest.
Woohoo.
So exciting. And her name is Shannon.
Yep.
Good morning.
Yes.
Two Shannons today.
That's right. Shannon's in the house representing, right? With Sheepdog Cinnamons.
Yes.
Yes. And you're also a Leo wife, right? And a mommy.
Of 2 under 2.
Yes. So welcome. We are so excited that you're here. So what should we dig in first? Should we dig in at her relationship?
So
her
we'll
business?
do the quintessential questions that we ask everybody.
Yes.
So first things first, what's the hardest or most difficult part of being an LEOW?
Oh, goodness. There's so many layers to that.
I know,
is.
right?
And we only have 30 minutes too.
But
Exactly. So we got to reel it into scheduling.
Yeah, I know.
Scheduling is tough.
Yeah.
Everybody says the same thing.
And you had mentioned off air that he is getting ready to take a promotion.
Yes.
So has there been studying going on?
So for the test taking, it was just diving into full study on it. And now with the promotion getting closer, it's, hey, I got to dive back into these books. And so these mornings are going to be taken up by studying again.
Yeah, and so we were briefly talking too, about scheduling. He's on B Company now?
Currently, yes.
Okay, so then you guys are getting ready to go through a shift change again
Correct.
when that happens.
So he's always been B Company.
Okay.
So
So he'll probably be
Oh man.
C company at this point when he goes
More
through
than
his-
likely.
Yeah.
So that might be a welcome change.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. The babies are sleeping through the night, so that's okay. Maybe sleeping without him's going to be different for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Right. And it's going to be different. However, once he gets on third shift and then he comes back to second after a few years, you're going to be like, you're in my territory. Like this whole bed was mine for so many years.
That's what I hear a lot of wives say with, the epitome of, hey, we need to get to first shift. And then you get to first shift and it's like, yeah, I don't know about this.
Could you just get yourself in a schedule? You're set in your ways. You're
Yeah.
watching your own TV shows.
And that's another thing, like with parenting and everything, it's you become very accustomed to, even though we're together, doing things very independently.
So talk to us then a little bit about build up your relationship a little bit for everybody to understand because and I think everybody loves to hear those stories because they're all different, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I remember the early days and how I figured it out and how I had to work it out and realize that this was an actual lifestyle.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
She's telling us,
touch on
basically, she's telling you, tell us your struggles. That's
right,
what we want to
girl.
hear.
Well, life has fast forwarded for us very, very, very quick. We went to 0 to 100.
Amen. I'm right there with you.
And it's been, 4 years, and it's felt like 40 of the ups and downs. So we got pregnant a little after 2.5 months of being together. And
It's meant to be.
It is. I don't know if my girls come home one day with our story, if I'll be super excited, but it's worked out for us.
Yeah, it was God's plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can just tell your girls when they come home, as long as they don't come home, right?
Right?
No, my son got married after like 6 months of meeting his wife. So,
Yeah.
hey, whatever.
Successful.
Yes, they're still together. I have a grandson. So,
Awesome.
yes.
Yeah,
As long
I
as you're
got married
happy.
to my husband 7 months after we met. I mean, it was just, you just know.
You just know.
You just know. And
She's
we
still
talk-
on that honeymoon phase.
She says that to me all the time. I just have a very loving, wonderful marriage.
I do
but-
too, but come and talk to me after 16 years.
Okay. I will.
We're going to see if she's like, yeah, I just love him. The smell of his uniform.
But everything progressed really quickly for us too. But we touched on a little bit ago how, when you're older and you start a new relationship or marriage or whatever, things do progress in a kind of a different way. So touch on that a little bit. I mean, how has that been for you?
Well, we were both very, very independent. I had been single for quite a while before I met him, and I had my own way of doing things, and he had his own way of doing things, and then merging the two, it's like with us having things happen so quickly, we're still learning each other.
Right.
And then navigating the babies and parenting and
Right.
all of the different life aspects.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I mean, but parenting in general, even if you've been together for, 16 years, let's say, and you start a family, you're still learning how to navigate parenting together because it's just not something that you do. I mean, just yesterday, he called me and he's like, "So, what's up? Like, what's going on with you this morning?" And this kind of ties in a little bit to having a business, right?
Are you in a bad mood or something for him to call? Or
I asked him a question. It wasn't the right time. So then, it just works that way, especially in this world too, because you have to kind of pick up on those cues. Like, so as soon as and it wasn't anything, it was like our hour together, and we sit down and I'm like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this?" And it just happens to be summer camp, right? What are your thoughts on how summer camp's going? And I realized as soon as he spoke, I was like, "Oh, it's not a good time. It's just not.
Let's
the right
talk about it
time."
tomorrow. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So then what do you do? It's like, okay, well for me, it's like, okay, well, I realize you need some time. I'm gonna go ahead and I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. Give yourself you watch your show, space or whatever. But it's all navigating that parenting thing and camp, and then we have a 1-year-old too, and almost 7-year-old. So it's the dynamic is interesting, and especially in this lifestyle too.
Sure.
So.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's like with what they do at work,
You're right.
they aren't necessarily the most emotional people, especially at home. It's like at the end of the day, I'm still a woman. I still need an emotional outlet. And with the shadow boxes, it's kind of on the selfish side sometimes, where other people's stories are giving me the outlet.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I love that.
Yes.
So talk about that a little
talk
bit.
about your business.
So the shadow boxes came around as Christmas gifts for Sean's officers, and they were well received. And then they've just progressed from, hey, I want to honor you, to more of, I've done a widow for a loss of line of duty, and then a firefighter widow, and then an officer shot in the line of duty. So more heavy stories that I wasn't necessarily expecting to get into. And just the different aspects and emotional, you never know how somebody's going to react.
Right.
There was the one that was shot in the line of duty but survived. She took a step out of life for a couple years and was like, I'm going to hide. I don't want to do this. And then the shadow box that I made for them was just recent, and it exploded into, let me do a movie, like a video of his whole story, and she put the body cam video in there. And
No way.
Wow.
Yeah,
So where can somebody find that at if they want to?
so I can link it. I think I did link it on the Sheepdog Sentiments Facebook. But she's out of Cincinnati, and there's and she put a blip of the shadow box in there. And again, officers aren't necessarily the most emotional, so she wasn't expecting this overwhelming feel from him, but he's taking selfies with it and just proud.
Yeah.
And restoring. I mean, sometimes they're so beat down.
It sounds like it brought her back to life.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
And then the firefighter widow, she went into advocacy like right away. I mean,
It's a coping.
It's
a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So you never know with how people are going to react.
So if somebody wants to order a shadow box, how long does it take? How long should they, I guess?
The more traditional style, it's about a week turnaround. I get them blessed from the local church, so we have to.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, what's the
Especially-
local church? You got to give them some props.
Seton Parish.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
it's if somebody's not necessarily religious, it's still in the line of work that we're in and the lives we live. It means something.
Right. And the members will probably pray for them, put them on their prayers list. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I
they'll
love that.
take about a week to turn around, and then the more involved ones, it just depends on the story aspect of like me holding these personal things for people, how I can like wow, when should I start working on this?
So to me, and be God. To me, I'm literally hearing like God speak. Like this woman is a channel of the Lord's peace, right? And all of these things happen to you for an entire reason because you are now helping all of these other people. Like that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Like so that's kind of, you know, we say all the time like our husbands had a calling, something that we can never do, but like this is kind of a calling.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
really
your
cool.
purpose. Yeah.
A lot of people ask me, hey, how do you handle all of this information? And it's like, at the end of the day, I hope I can pass on to my girls, you know, just the broad range of, you never know somebody's story until you ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind to kind of like hold that up to the camera just so they can see.
Right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so you even do firefighters, nurses.
Nurses, even starting a subsection, it's going to be called Sincerely Shan, and it's more of the home aspect. And I had one of my girlfriends from high school reach out, and she had a housewarming gift made for her buyers of her house that she was in for 18 years. And then I am working on Madison Shadowbox, our daughter. Haven't touched her stuff in 3 years. She was a NICU baby.
Aww.
So all of this little stuff from her.
So all those emotions are flooding back. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yep.
So tell us then how your transition from having a, you know, full-time 9 to 5 to doing this was for you. I mean, how was that difficult? Was it an easy thing? I mean, how? Yeah.
No, it was definitely not easy
Yeah.
at all. I was so career driven that I wanted to do it all. You know, I still wanted to work and be able to have a kids and a successful life and all of that, and it just didn't work out to where I could have it all. And being forced out of the work atmosphere, I kind of lost my identity.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I always wanted to be a mom, and part of it wasn't enough.
Right.
It's crazy enough.
Right.
Yes.
So,
No, I feel that. And you know, I was just thinking about this too.
Wait a minute. Sorry, somebody said they couldn't hear us, so I'm just making sure before we continue. Can you guys hear us? Can somebody just give us a nod on Facebook, give us a thumbs up?
What was the code here?
I'm not sure. I mean, nobody's saying anything now, so maybe it was just our viewer that was watching.
Well, this turned off. That's, I don't know. This
Just
is probably
1
recording
second.
here.
I'll text them.
Yeah, I have a really good point. I hope I don't lose it. We'll get there. Oh, goodness.
Oh my goodness, this happens to us sometimes. Just gasp because it takes a couple times before it locks you out.
I'm not. I know.
I'll gasp. What do you think it was?
Nope. Wrong gas.
Else they're not answering me.
My hubby knows yours. It says he's
It's
a great
on.
guy.
I mean, it's on. Actually, here. I can find it myself. All right, do some talking, Jamie.
Can you hear me?
Keep talking.
How's it going?
Yeah, so that's just not on.
Okay. Sorry about that. Wait, I swear we always have a technical difficulty.
All right.
I think it's just it's us.
And we're back. Yeah, so you just have to kind of talk loud because it's not picking up. It's only picking up through the camera.
Okay, so my thought was, sorry, my train of thought got interrupted there, but I would love to do an entire show based on. So there's so much spark right now about women in business, right, or women starting businesses, and I really think that Rachel Hollis kind of brought this whole thing to life, right? If you haven't read her books, go ahead and do it. And so there is a movement, if you will, of women, female entrepreneurs, right? And how difficult it is for them to go from whatever they were doing to starting a business, right? And what the identity crisis in that entails, because
when I wake up, the first thing in the morning that I have to do is I have to get myself ready before I can get everybody else ready, because I have to get everybody else ready. And then that takes up all of my time and energy. And then I have to worry about where everyone's going. And then I have time for my business, right? And my business is my business. So then it's, okay, well, how do I maintain my time within my business? And, you know, what sort of leader do I want to be? What kind of things do I need to learn? And then, but wait a minute, but I'm a mom, and I just got a phone call from school, and my kid is sick, and I mean, there's just so many things that are wrapped up into that. So again, I think it would be a great show to do.
No, it is, and I think it's great because you have a business with raising small children.
Yes.
Where I was in the same place as Shannon, where I stayed at home. So I feel like we could have a totally different story.
Absolutely.
Because like laundry, like you know how it is. I don't know how you even have time to make
right.
the shadow boxes, because if you have any animals, you have kids, then you have laundry, and then people think you stay at home, so you have all this time.
Right.
Your husband gives you errands to run.
Right. And I think that it's so easy for people to be like, well, you know, make a list and stick to it. And this is how the day's going to look for you. And you need to manage your time well. And you need to take care of yourself. And you need to take care of, you know, this and the other.
Yeah.
But it is just, and everybody has a different idea of what that means for them and how that feels. But at the end of the day, like, whether you believe it to be true or not, there's some level of guilt that you have. Whether it's taking care of your kids, or taking care of your husband, or taking care of yourself. I mean, we deal with that, right? And there's a huge stigma around that, because that's our, you know, that's how we identify. But at the same time, like, sometimes people think, well, it's not fair that you feel that way. Or, you know, and my husband will be the first to tell you. He'll be like, I don't have to deal with those things. I don't have to.
Yeah. So tell us, how do you deal with it, being a stay-at-home mom, and how do you have time?
You just, not only am I doing all of that, and the babies, and Sean, and the household, and the shadow boxes, I'm also a student. And we sit on a board for the hospital, for the NICU. We're going to bridge the NICU to antepartum, which is where women go when they have complicated pregnancies.
Yeah.
So I spent 8 weeks in the hospital with Madison prior to delivery. She sent
Wow.
me to the hospital at 24 weeks, and I never left, and we delivered her at 32 weeks. So just a lot of insights with all of that, and sitting on the board there, helping.
She's your oldest.
She is. Okay. She just turned 3 on Sunday. So,
Aw.
yes.
That's an awesome story, though.
Yes.
Yeah. But I had a lot of, they just diagnosed me with PTSD from all of the traumatic things that happened within the hospital setting itself. And one thing I'm learning is you have to be happy and healthy for yourself before you can be happy and healthy for
So
anyone
how was
else.
it being pregnant with your second after going through all that with your first?
Scary.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to get pregnant because we were on birth control, and it just kind of happened. So crazy enough that Brooklyn's pregnancy was pretty complicated too. So Madison went to Cleveland to stay with my parents a lot, just because I couldn't mom it and be pregnant. So we delivered her at 37 weeks, but I was dilated to 7 at 29 weeks.
Wow.
So it was difficult. So with Madison, it was postpartum anxiety a lot. Like, oh my gosh, I have to leave the hospital without my baby, and NICU and all of that. And then with Brooklyn, it became more of a anxiety to depression.
Yeah.
And just kind of lost. What do I do?
Right.
Yeah.
And the shadow boxes has actually helped create more of a purpose for me. And getting back to, even though I can't work outside the home, I'm still doing something.
And it probably, like, as females, well, I guess I can speak for myself, we kind of push down our feelings and our emotions because we are so busy and wear so many hats. So this is probably allowing you to bring those emotions that you really never faced.
It is. And getting to connect with the wives, girlfriends, you know, even officers. I had an officer out of Myrtle Beach call me because I didn't realize my cell phone number was hooked on my website.
Oh.
And all of a sudden I got this random phone call, and he stayed on the phone with me for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Just talking, and he's like, you know some of the stuff my wife doesn't even know.
Right.
So I think it's just an outlet. maybe a safe haven. I don't even know what you would call it to get some of those thoughts for the officers out.
So every shadow box you make, do they tell you the story that goes with the box for every one of them?
I ask.
Yes, I
I
would too.
do.
Yeah. So I feel like it just has
It
more
becomes,
meaning.
sometimes I poke my nose where it doesn't belong at all.
What do you mean?
Like I said, with the officer, I know some of the stuff about him. His wife doesn't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you ask questions that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, again, I totally think the Lord made you a sounding board. So, I mean, it's very interesting that when you meet somebody, you're like, oh, yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys live the life. Our officers are still humans at the end of the day. They're not robots. They see things that normal people don't see in their lifetime almost every day.
Right. And I think that's too, like, why we kind of created this as almost like an outlet to kind of, like, our sounding board, if you will. Like, hey, like, this is difficult. It's not for everybody. You know, and we were chosen to be in this lifestyle too for a reason. So, because people don't realize that it's hard.
I mean, you figure the fantasy of
Correct.
being an officer's involvement. You
Correct.
Know? It's not that. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's so scary being in our shoes. And I have some friends that say, "Oh, do you know any single officers?" Well, yes, I do, but you're not fit.
Exactly. That's not going to work out for you, girl.
It's not. You're just not ready for that life.
Yes. So he works B company. So tell our viewers what time that is.
2 to 10.
2 to 10. So he basically gets up, has breakfast, and probably out the door. Maybe lunch.
You know, he does working out a lot, so it's kind of
That's his outlet. Yeah.
It is. You can totally tell if he doesn't go out there and work out that, you know, stuff gets built up for him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So when do you guys ever have time?
We don't. We don't.
When's the last time you guys went on a date?
We went to El Vaquero the other night and had a margarita. My parents were in town, so we put the babies to bed and we went out for about an hour.
Ooh, an hour.
Yeah.
You gotta get it where you get it, right?
Exactly. And I asked him the other day, I'm like, are we chasing the impossible? And what I mean by that is, you know, we're working so hard right now and going 2 different ways. Are we ever going to get that time?
You will.
I love that you bring that up because almost every day I have to remind myself I am in a season. Your family is in a season, right? And then you'll be able to look back and actually reflect and then help other people that are in this season too. And I hear a lot of other people that have been through this say, you know, you'll get through it. You'll get through it. It's just a part of your story.
Because half the time you don't have time to think about it.
Right.
And then when your kids are grown,
Right.
you're like, oh man, like I don't even know how I got through it.
Absolutely.
And then you start kind of reconnecting with your spouse because that's all you have is each other.
Yeah. Well, so, and in that too, and we were saying earlier, like you have to take care of yourself. Like, what things do you do to take care of yourself? Like, because you said his thing is working out, and so then
What's your release?
What's your
It's got to be the shadow boxes.
Yeah.
For the most part, it keeps me busy.
Well, that's cool because that combines your passions, your work and your you.
Yes, and I didn't even know, like in the beginning, was it going to be just a hobby? And it's turning into connections all over the nation.
Yeah, that's really cool. So then, do you have an Etsy shop, or are you just doing everything through Facebook?
So Facebook is the main connector. I feel like I can manage it. I have an Instagram. It's not like catching on the way that I want it to. And then I do have an Etsy shop. I have a full website. Like all of the avenues you think you could have, I do.
So when we post this to our page, we'll make sure to post all of your connections, so that way people can order. So if anybody has any questions about that, we'll post it later.
Right. And what is your Facebook page? Just talk a little loud because our speaker system's not going through.
So the Facebook page itself goes into everybody's story. So some of the shadow boxes I make, I cannot post the story due to what they do. Some undercover, some with military, they just can't have their story out there. So it's all of like what they feel comfortable with.
But you can find some stories on there.
Absolutely. And some are very brief, and some are very, very, hey, I met my husband, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And their whole story about kids and struggles.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool,
Yes,
though.
is your story on there?
It is not yet. It is not.
So
One day.
You're waiting for the shadow box to be finished before you
Exactly.
put your story on there, huh?
Yes.
No, that's so interesting. That's amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, here I am thinking we're just gonna come on and talk about your business about doing shadow boxes, but this is like a whole, that's a whole spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
I know,
super,
but it's
cool.
super cool. See, there's a purpose for
That's right.
everybody.
Yes.
Yes, there's a reason why you met your husband
Yep,
when you did.
yep.
100%.
Yeah, and there's a reason why you got pregnant within 2 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see.
And then again on accident.
Yeah. Oops.
Aww.
Yes. So who are you? Can you tell a story about that shadow box?
This was going to be a gift for one of Sean's officers, but he got transferred. So this never made it to him.
Yeah, that wouldn't be Jimmy Parsons, would it?
I don't know.
I bet you it is.
He's newer.
Oh, then it wouldn't be.
I want to say he was on probation when he left Sean.
Gotcha.
Oh, then no.
So just a year in, more than likely.
So to let the viewers know, sergeants on the precincts buys their officers gifts at Christmas time.
Well, most of them. Some
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
yeah, I should say most of them. Yeah, it's like a
I'm not
tradition.
sure.
I mean, some of them might be cheap. I'm not sure. Does Eddie's sergeants not get anything? No, she's pleading the fifth.
I don't know.
Maybe it's something small. Yeah, yeah, I know, right? She's pleading the fifth, which is okay. Do you guys still have Christmas parties over at CPD?
Yes. Last year it happened Christmas in July though because it just didn't work out for Christmas. So.
Yeah, it never does. It's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah. I mean, there's some fun parties. I wasn't drinking at the time.
Yeah.
Now I wish I could go back to those days. Poop it up, but it wasn't
Poop
then.
it up.
But
Well,
they have
someday
some fun.
someday when our kids grow up, maybe we'll be able
Exactly.
to partake.
Yeah. Girl, by that time I'll have a cane. I'll be old. I won't be able to partake with you.
Sure you will. Yes, you will. You'll find a way.
You're right.
Where there's a will,
There's a
Where's my
way.
cane?
there's
Get in
a
there.
way.
I got it. Wait for me, ladies. I brought the flip cups. No, so what are we talking about next week? We have no idea. We're going to actually
Well,
surprise you.
You know, I think we were talking about, because we got such a great response to the self-care episode, I think that we were planning on kind of doing a part 2 to that, because we had such a great response and a lot of questions about that too. So I think that's where we'll take it. That
Should
could
we
be a
do
long
something
one.
for a week this week to self-care so we can come back and
Yes,
talk about it
and
on
we'll
Thursday?
come back and talk about it on Thursday. So if you have any questions or want to make any comments, feel free to get a hold of us
Yes.
on our Facebook page. You can get a hold of us at our Gmail, which is BlueLine Group of Ohio at
Yeah,
gmail.com.
sorry, this is normally Amy, but
I know.
Amy's on vacation.
I know, we miss you, Abe.
Yeah.
And then our Instagram account too, BlueLine Group of Ohio.
Yes, yes, and I forgot at the beginning to let you guys know we are live from LEPD Firearm and Range off of Buffalo Road here in Columbus, Ohio. We thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ladies.
That was fun.
Yeah, it's been an honor, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
cannot wait to go and read all of the stories.
That's really cool. You guys should all go check that out.
They-
Again,
yes.
we'll link all her pages too.
Yes,
so
you
you
said.
can.
Yes, so we are your Blue Line group with your BlueLine Wives Roll Call podcast. Until next time, we will see you then.
Be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Just know it's not turned off.
This is still recording.
It is.
So. Usually we can turn it on from here, but
It's, yeah.
I don't know why this went out.
I have an idea.
Oh no, just turn this up. Or that. Okay.
So we know it's not on now. See, yeah, the green light's not on. All right, now we're safe. It's off.
Okay.
Sometimes we have like difficulties and we just have to like ring it because, I mean, just make
One
sure
of the
that it's
things
not on.
when I was at Verizon, with it being such a tech company, things would roll out in the morning, and by 10 minutes later, it was null and void.
Oh. So get this, ladies. So I went and got a food sensitivity test done. I have IBS. And I've been I went through like all these tests and I went through elimination.
Yeah, she's
today.
IBS, guys. It's still live.
I'm just kidding. I already told them that.
I'm just kidding.
And so I get my food allergy test back, and listen, it's peaches and bananas.
Okay. Odd.
Weird, because like, how often do you eat peaches? Like maybe 2 weeks out of the year. dairy, cheese, so cheese, or not cheese, I'm sorry, milk, but cheese was on the lower level, eggs, coffee, which, cod, like everything else is good, but cod, and sesame seeds.
Weird.
Isn't that weird?
So that's no hamburger buns.
Well, with sesame seeds, yeah.
Sesame seeds mostly a year.
But like eggs, like I eat eggs all the time.
Eggs are in a lot.
Yeah.
You can't substitute.
And milk, like I eat sour cream like it is my job.
Yeah.
I make that Fiesta Ranch dip.
It's still showing we're on live. I kid you not.
Well, if anybody heard me, I have. Oh my gosh. That's okay. Everybody knows now. Thanks, Jim. But yeah, eggs and peaches. Hopefully, I didn't say any bad words.
Oh my goodness. Let me make a phone call really quick to see. I have to get this off of here. Let me call him. That is hilarious.
After I told you I'm not sitting, we're not sitting talking about. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Can I?
I'm calling him now to see.
I think you just turn it. Maybe not.
They won't get here now because I turned it all the way down.
Okay.
He's still not answering.
Where's D?
I have no idea.
I guess I won't talk about.
I'm just trying to get it off of here. Because it's gonna.
Everybody knows what I'm allergic to.
Does anybody know the password to this iPad?
I don't think I heard you, honey.
I don't think they know it anyway.
That is Eric.
That is hilarious. We'll find him. Oh my gosh, my aunt is like on a roll today. Terry, she's like, no sound still. Like, we're done, we're over. Let me go find Eric. Oh my gosh, she's like a hot mess today.
Well, that is so cool.
We find
Can I
him.
ask how much they are?
So
Maybe we should have
this
said that.
one
Yeah.
is 75.
That's so
I
cool.
gotta get the. Everything's pretty cost effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Where do you get them from?
anywhere I can find.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes Michael's, sometimes Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
But the more, the bigger ones, the more involved ones, those become 16 by 20. And those are 130. So it's
Okay.
still pretty cost effective.
Yeah. That's a really cool gift. And the wives on the pages are always like, hey, I need gift ideas. Do you ever step in like, oh, I just want
there, you don't know it.
Sometimes, self promotion. You know Officer Smith? So he helped me. He puts Olmec and everything. I made him and Tammy one.
Aww.
And
How cute. Sorry.
he put them up on his page and things. That's when
I haven't unplugged it.
That's awesome.
and then
Oh, you wanted the password for the.
Yes.
I thought you said laptop for this thing. I was
I
like,
meant
don't know.
sorry,
Well, the Mevo kicked off like maybe like minutes in, so I don't know.
Because Eric just went, what, laptop?
I meant that.
Okay. That's what I came out of.